Hey, welcome to my channel. You subscribed to me. Surprising that surprising that nothing bad happened to my channel. I thought people would unsubscribe. But anyways, I'm gonna review two things. One of them's gonna be, but hopefully both of them are gonna be short reviews. The Walking Dead Volume 11, got that a few weeks ago. Great volume, perfect. If you love The Walking Dead, you're gonna love this one, obviously. But I think sorry, there's something in my throat. If you liked Volume 10 and everything, Volume 11 is gonna be better. Actually, I think Volume 11 is the best volume I've read. Until the next one, of course, but it's the best one because it provides closure. It provides a little bit more of a narrative. It provides so much deep stuff. You see a certain character change a lot, and that character changed in a way that it was like, hey, I would have done the same thing in that situation. It was just everything about that whole volume was just amazing, and the way it ended was just, oh my god, that was just amazing. That was an amazing ending. It was a great ending to a great book, and I just can't get enough of it. But that's just me. Moving on to a certain video game that came out this week, and I bet most of you think of Mass Effect 2. Well, fuck that game. I don't have my 360 died. Secondly, I didn't like Mass Effect 1. I'm not picking Mass Effect 2. I don't care if the gameplay is different. I am not buying that game. I don't like the style of it. I don't really like anything about it. I want to have less to do with that game as possible. So instead, I take it upon myself to buy a real game called No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle. I think it's actually one of the best games that I've played since ever, actually. Since Uncharted 2, to be honest. And, that's not saying something. No More Heroes 2 was such a fun game, and it was just everything that I expected. The final boss was the only sour part of the whole experience. Like, if there was one boss fight that I hated the most was the final boss fight. It didn't live up to par with what No More Heroes 1 was in every sense of the word. In every way. Like, story, character-wise, everything, it was just not that good. And, I mean, saying that, I'm not saying that the game is any less of a game. It's actually pretty good if you look at it. If you digest it as the way it is, you take it bit by bit, it's actually pretty good. I was a little bit disappointed with the whole idea of at first I thought it was like, oh, 50 bosses, that's pretty impressive. I love that. And then you went from like rank 50 to rank 25. I found that a little bit kind of ADD, in my opinion, because it's like, oh, you have 50 bosses. Oh, now you're rank 25. It's like, if you're not gonna have that many bosses, then don't have you start off at. It's like so many things that could have gone better, and it's like, if you're gonna have 50 bosses, if you're gonna have 50 ranks, have 50 bosses. Don't half-ass it like you did. And I mean, you could argue, well, he probably ran out of ideas. It's just that you should have seen that coming. You should, if you didn't have enough ideas to have 50 bosses, then don't have 50 ranks. It's just that simple. I mean, that's the one thing that kind of got me a little bit annoyed with that game. Was just that whole thing. Not that it was a total bad experience that made the game worse. It was just kind of a thing that kind of kicked me in the butt because I was so excited for 50 bosses. That made me really excited, and for me not get 50 bosses, it's kind of a punch in the face. I can talk today, but also, I should also review this game, actually, because I didn't review this at all in the past, I don't think. The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks. The second DS Zelda game to come out, and damn, it's a good Zelda game. I mean, I played Phantom Hourglass, I thought that was good. No, Spirit Tracks comes and says, no, Phantom Hourglass sucks, and, I looked at it, and I compared it with the N64 Zelda games, both of them, and I realized Spirit Tracks is the Ocarina of the DS, and Phantom Hourglass is the Majora's Mask of the DS. Because Majora's Mask I always thought was the weakest Zelda title because it didn't have that Zelda feel, didn't have anything that was awesome. It didn't have, the story was just okay, it was whatever. The 3-day timeline was just killed it right there, and the mask was something that I didn't really get into that much. So again, it's like, that's why Phantom Hourglass is the Majora's Mask. The way that how Spirit Tracks was handled was just so awesome. It was amazing how it was handled. I definitely think it was something that can stand by itself and say, hey, this is the Zelda game. You don't have to play Phantom Hourglass to understand. It only asks you to play Wind Waker pretty much, because if you know how Wind Waker ends, you'll know how Spirit Tracks is. That's the only thing you'll need to play. But I mean, most of you played Wind Waker anyway. But with Spirit Tracks, it was just a great Zelda game. It was a great Zelda game for the DS. The controls are somewhat the same. The touchscreen has somewhat improved over the previous one. The items was what surprised me the most, because in Phantom Hourglass was more of a compilation of all these traditional Zelda items and all that. Well, this one you got a lot of it. You got a lot of fresh, new items, and some old ones that have new purposes. Like in this one, and the boomerang has more of a purpose in this one, and that's what I liked about it. Again, it's those little things that made that game stand alone, and the final boss was just enough to make me just stop in awe on how awesome that was, because it felt like a real Zelda boss, and I cannot stress that enough. And this is literally everything about that game was just amazing. I cannot stop, and it's just that I still beat it to this day. I still fight the final boss, because that final boss was just so long and awesome that it was just the perfect mix of Zelda titles. I mean, it had the best ending, it had the best cutscenes, and the it referenced a lot of Wind Waker, which surprised me a lot. Well, it didn't reference it a lot, but it referenced it enough for me to be like, oh wow, it's actually referencing shit. And because like it went out of its way for one of the characters to make a comeback, and for him to be like, hey, you look familiar, you look like one of my old friends back a few hundred years ago. And it's just like, wow. And they references to Tetra and all these other characters, and I really appreciated that. I do appreciate Zelda games that reference each other, and that's why I like Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, and the 2DS Zelda games, because those are the only Zelda games that I know of that continue off of each other and go on a certain path that you know it's going in. So, yeah, I give Volume 11, I'm going to recap, Volume 11 a 10 out of 10 of The Walking Dead, No More Heroes 2 a 9 out of 10, and Spirit Tracks a 9 out of 10. There were small little things I found wrong with Spirit Tracks that could have been better, but hey, it's a great game. If you own a DS, I'd say buy it. Yeah, the train. That's the one thing that sucks about it. There's only one great part with the train, which I'm not gonna spoil because that's great to find out what purpose it has. But yeah, the train is the only weak part about Spirit Tracks. Hey, you're not gonna buy it for the train. You're buying it for the Zelda game. The dungeons are fun. The area between the dungeons, like we had to do a lot of fetch quests. That's another thing that kind of sucked, but still 9 out of 10. Great score. Peace. Hopefully I'll still be doing a lot of videos for YouTube. Peace.